Tom Stoukas coming to you from Sarnia, Ontario, November 18th, Tuesday night. Hopefully everybody's having a nice night. Um, I'm still getting over this budget thing from last night. I was so confused last night because we we thought at first it said the NDP abstained, and then it said the Conservatives abstained. So it was after a while it was clear that they were both strategically abstaining because they didn't want to defeat the budget, even accidentally defeat it. Even I guess Andrew Scheer and another guy, Scott Reed, were hiding behind curtains to make sure in case the NDP didn't hold up their end of the bargain or something. So they'd rush in and vote or abstain, but then they rushed in and voted. Whatever, it's all a joke. I think what happened last night is people saw how fake our parliament is. It's just a big uniparty kind of just fake, not real. Like, okay, what bugged me is they say, okay, they didn't want to defeat the budget because they didn't want a Christmas election. Nobody wants an election. Okay, fine. But we had to listen for a month about this budget and if there might be an election if this budget doesn't pass, and the Conservatives are going to vote against the budget, and will the NDP support? Like, there was all this drama, and at the end of the day, it was just collusion between the parties to avoid basically doing their job. So the NDP, they didn't want to. They didn't want to do a Jagmeet Singh and vote for a budget because they'd be basically part of the government, de facto coalition partner. And they know if they do that, they're not going to get any more votes. Like, they might as well just fold into the Liberal Party. They didn't want to be a junior coalition partner like Jagmeet did, because look where that got them. They bled all their support to the Liberals. But they also didn't want to defeat the budget. They didn't want to support the budget, but they didn't want to defeat it because they have no money for an election. They have no leader, and it'd be a disaster for them. And the Liberals will probably get even the rest of their whatever little support they have. So it has nothing to do with, oh, we don't want to put people through a Christmas election. It's their self-interest. On the Conservative side, they didn't, they wanted to vote no for the budget, but they didn't want to be blamed for an election, which is kind of ridiculous because really they should have just voted no, like on principle, because they're conservative. And if the NDP didn't want to support the budget, then they could have blamed the MDP. They said it's the NDP had the balance of power, not us. But as usual, the Conservatives chickened out, and guarantee if they thought they could win a majority in a Christmas election, they would want a Christmas election. It has nothing to do with, oh, we don't want to put people through. All they care about is they knew they were going to lose the Liberals if they had an election because Pierre's not doing the job. He's not popular. He's alienated his base, like the Conservative base that doesn't want Canada to turn into India. And the Liberal side of the thing doesn't like him. They can't stand him. So they know he's not going to win an election. So whatever you want to rationalize it, say, oh, it strategically wasn't the good time for an election. Whatever. You can say that all you want, but all the people see is uniparty, uniparty, uniparty. That's what I saw. And just be straight with people. Say, hey, we don't want an election because we're not ready, or whatever. Don't pretend like you're this principled. Like all the Conservatives MPs were bragging how they voted against the budget. It's like you were going to let that budget pass no matter what, even if 20 of you had to abstain. So it's just a joke, and I think that's the feeling Canadians have, because the country's like got some serious problems, and these guys, all they care about is themselves, keeping their parties and staying out of an election because it doesn't benefit them. If it benefited them, they'd go to an election. They wouldn't give a shit about Christmas. half of them are not even Canadian anyway. They probably don't even celebrate Christmas. So the Christmas thing's bullshit. It's still, the Liberals probably wanted an election because they probably would have benefited from. They're the most funded and organized right now, and they could have blamed the others for the election. The other ones, they didn't want it because they know they wouldn't do well. So they acted all tough all month for this budget, and I knew there wasn't going to be an election. But anyway, let's go to the day on X. It's a lot of reaction to the budget. So CPC had 2 MPs abstain and 1 crossed the floor to vote with the Liberals. The NDP also had 2 MPs abstain and Elizabeth May voted in support, which allowed Mark Carney's costliest budget in Canadian history to pass. So they all colluded together. Like, this didn't just happen by accident. They all got together and said, this is what we're going to do. This took a team effort to get this disastrous, wasteful budget across the finish line. The Uniparty. It's pretty clear the CPC and NDP worked in secret to help the Carney agenda and gaslit us all about who is to blame. Look in the mirror, CPC, look in the mirror. The budget passed by 2 votes. The stats don't lie. CPC played a critical role in ensuring it passed. Yeah. They didn't want to go to an election. Let's see. Let's see what he's saying here.
Gave them the costliest budget in Canadian history.
Okay.
Put it all on the national credit card.
This is Pierre talking about.
Strapped and needed a break. Instead, the Prime Minister gave them the costliest budget in Canadian history and put it all on the national credit card. The Parliamentary Budget Officer revealed the Prime Minister doubled Trudeau's deficits, added $16 billion more to the debt than he promised, is increasing the debt to GDP ratio, breaking another promise. $78 billion of additional debt works out to about $5,000 for every single cash-strapped family in this country. How does the Prime Minister expect single moms and seniors and small business people who can't pay their bills to pay another $5,000 for his inflation?
So this is before the budget vote.
Mr. Speaker, we will take no lessons from the Conservatives.
He's like a little munchkin.
Yesterday, under this leader, they voted against investment in infrastructure. Under this leader, they voted against investment in housing. Under this conservative leader, they voted against productivity and innovation in our country. Under this leader, they voted against investment in our sovereignty, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, anyway, this is the debate before the budget. And see, they're all arguing about the budget when they all know they're going to let it pass. So it's kind of disingenuous. They knew ahead of time. Okay, so we're going to look at more reaction to the budget vote, but also a lot of Indian stuff today. But Indian stuff, not necessarily Indian crime, but there is the Indian crime. But it's like Canadian politics is all about Indian politics. And this is what's happening in Canada is we're turning into India, and we're even in the House of Commons. They're talking about more Indian issues than they are Canadian issues, and there's so many Canadian issues we can talk about. Like, a lot of issues, but they don't want to talk about it. Unless it's suicide, assisted suicide, then they'll talk about it. So look, I have basically my policy is Canada needs to ban immigration from India. Pronto, ASAP, whatever. And it's not like a hateful thing because, I got warned by X about deporting Indians. It's just common sense because, there's 1.5 billion Indians and all sorts of horrible stuff they're bringing over to Canada. Like this extortion crisis that's going on in BC and happens in Brampton too. So let's look at this. Canada needs to ban immigration from India pronto. It says India ranks the highest or very high in the following categories: porn addiction, consumption, starvation, number of rodents, cockroaches. That's what I don't like. I don't want rats. I don't like rats. Dirty rivers, open defecation, lack of clean water, sexual abuse of children, noise, bad smells. The noise, they like to talk on their phones with the speaker on, and it's like because they're talking to the whole village back in India or something. I was at the Toys R Us play place and just trying to relax while the kids played, because I was having kind of, rough weekend, parent stuff, like you just want to relax for an hour while they play. And I had these two guys, these two Indian dudes, Sikhs, I guess. They sat beside me, and I didn't want to get up. I wanted to get up, but they started talking like all in their language and all loud and annoying. And it's like I'm just trying to relax. And then they get on the phone, and they got the speakerphone on, and oh my God. And I was like, I had to move. I had to go across. So, yeah, that's the noise part, yeah. They're loud. I thought Greek people were loud. No. Okay. So here's some more reaction to the budget. I have completely lost faith in Canadian political institutions. I didn't want to believe it was one big uniparty, but after yesterday, I now do. Good luck, Canada. Oh, I knew it was before this. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see now that the budget's passed. The conservative shills are saying, oh, this is good because in a year, Carney will be so unpopular that we'll come in and win it. And I was like, I don't know if that's necessarily the case, because all he has to do is peel away a few more MPs, and he's got a majority for 3 years. So whatever, they're trying to justify their weak performance and Pierre's weak performance. Nobody likes him. That's why he can't win an election in Christmas. He didn't even win his own riding, and he lost a 30-point lead, and now he's afraid of a rematch until he needs 2 years for Carney to become unpopular and destroy Canada before he can get his rematch. That's leadership. But it'll be interesting to see if he survives. The knives come out. Will the knives come out for Pierre? He's got a leadership review in January. The knives might come out quick. Okay. So that's the uniparty. That's what it looked like. It looked like a big uniparty fest in Parliament. And it's kind of like they're joking with us. Okay, your problems aren't serious. All we care about is keeping this grift going, this uniparty grift going. We don't care about your problems. That's what a lot of Canadians, I think, feel. That's how I feel. Now, here we got Pierre in Parliament talking about the extortion crisis. And he's got his MP here, Harjit Singh Gill. Who's this guy? Conservative Party MP candidate. He's only a candidate, so I don't think he's an MP. Anyway, he says, thank you, Pierre Poilievre, for calling the extortion crisis what it is and demanding action. Canada's duty is to protect Canadians. Secure Canada now. So this extortion thing in BC is an Indian thing. It's Indians, gangs, extorting Indians, businesses, and people. And it's it happens in Brampton too. I've heard of a few extortion cases, but apparently it's a crisis now in BC. And they're criticizing the Indians that brought this culture here to BC, beautiful BC, are complaining that the Canadian government isn't doing enough to protect them from their Indian countrymen. And I was like, why the hell did we bring in these criminal gangs and tons of Indians to replace Canadians? And now we have to listen to them bitch about this extortion crisis that, has, who knows what the deal is with these Indians and extortion. I don't know. Maybe it's a Indian culture thing, extortion. Anyway, so this is what they're talking about in Parliament. Instead of talking about fixing Canada and stopping it from turning it into a commie hellhole, globalist commie hellhole, we're talking about Indian extortion and how we can protect our Indian residents here from Indian extortion gangs. So it's kind of annoying. Let's see this.
Up our country to terror. After much pressure.
So it's ridiculous.
You
It's
mortgaged
like,
your house. You took risks. You stayed up late, wondering how you'd pay the bills. Finally, after all that, a success. A wonderful business with 30 to 50 people, growing every day. And suddenly the phone rings on the other end of the line. Someone is threatening that if you don't pay millions of dollars to a gang, your house will be burned down, your children's bedroom will be shot up in the middle of the night, or your employees may be killed.
look how sad Pierre looks.
Sounds like an extreme case, but now it has become the norm.
Yeah, because we brought in millions of Indians.
Open border policies by liberals
Yeah.
have allowed gangsters to visit this country, gaining visitor visas granted them without any criminal background checks. Catch and release laws passed by this liberal government under C5, which lower the jail sentence for extortion with a gun, have caused the extortion crisis across this country. To put it in perspective, since this liberal government took office, extortion is up 330%. In British Columbia, it's up 400%. In the Lower Mainland, it's up 500%.
Yeah.
Countless families have received those threatening phone calls. Just the other day, I met with the sons of a lifelong successful businessman who was mercilessly killed by gangsters without any provocation. People are living in terror in places like Surrey, Northeast Calgary, parts of Edmonton, Brampton, Windsor, and elsewhere.
I wonder
Over the
why.
weekend, I attended events at numerous businesses where literally dozens of people have told me they have personally received the threatening phone calls. And so they lie awake at night wondering if a bullet will fly through their children's front window, or if they will be gunned down when they walk out the door. This crisis was entirely avoidable,
Yeah.
but liberal policies have provoked it. They have released the extortionists into the streets with lower prison sentences. They have brought foreign gangsters and criminals to our shores by granting visitor visas and opening up our country to terror.
Well, this guy wanted direct flights from
After much
Amritsar
pressure from
too.
Conservatives, they finally agreed to ban the Bishnoi group, but too late. They let the Bishnoi gangsters into this country in the first place because they do not protect our borders, and their radical policies on immigration have endangered many of the very people who came here lawfully and legitimately.
So he's basically,
Mr. Speaker,
he's sitting in the House of
if you
Commons.
look at the
He's more worried about these Indians that brought all the problems here, who are getting extorted by other Indians. That's what he's worried about in Parliament. This is what they're talking about in Canadian Parliament.
these facts, and you look at the numbers,
He's so upset,
you have
Pierre.
no choice but to conclude that we have a liberal extortion emergency in this country.
Yeah, let's
That
deport.
people are living in terror. And it is a shame that liberals have allowed this crisis to form and grow. It is a shame that the very communities who have vested support in the Liberal Party are now the ones who are paying the biggest price for the violence and carnage that liberal policies now unleash. And so we as Conservatives state clearly that extortion is a crisis after 10 years of Liberals, that we need an emergency debate to address this extortion
Emergency
crisis,
debate.
and that we must enact a serious plan to end the extortion so that Canadian small business owners can go back to living their lives, creating jobs, serving customers, making life affordable again.
There is a plan. The plan is ban all immigration from India. That's the plan. That's the plan. Otherwise,
This country. Our plan is very clear. Mandatory jail time to lock
No.
up and throw away the key for extortionists. Stronger borders to keep and kick extortionists out of our country. And a clear self-defense law so that people can protect themselves in their homes when invaded by extortionists.
Okay, so you get the picture. They're more worried about their Indian constituents than they are about Canadian problems, because this is an Indian problem. They brought this problem here. Among other problems, the corruption, the fraud, the scamming, the sexual assaults, the truck driving, the drug smuggling. They brought all this here. So Pierre can talk all he wants. We know the Liberals aren't going to do anything, but the only solution is ban immigration from India ASAP. And then we can worry about deporting a bunch of them too. But it's like your basement's flooding. You don't, you want to stop the flooding and then start bailing the water out. But, I'm not trying to be mean. It's just, look at it. Look what's going on in this country. Like this, they don't want to assimilate. They want to take over, like these Khalistani guys. Can't stand them either. We got extortionists. We got Khalistani terrorists. We got, just the regular Indians who get on your nerves. So, I'm sorry, guys. I've done my research. That's how I feel. All right. And then, like I said, now we're talking, our parliament, they're talking about Indian issues instead of Canadian issues. So, here's Pierre. He's more fired up about the Indians getting extorted than he is about Canada being destroyed. So here's, Canadians deserve safety and peace of mind. Yes, we do. Ban immigration from India. Yet liberal open borders and catch and release laws have increased extortions by 330%. You want a direct flight from Amritsar. We need an emergency debate on our conservative plan to stop extortion. So he wants an emergency debate. Maybe we should have had an emergency debate before letting millions of Indians into Canada. We should have had an emergency. We weren't allowed to have that debate because you would have been called a racist if you said, hey, maybe it's not a good idea to turn Canada into India. Maybe, just maybe not a good idea. So, and here's Jeremy McKenzie. He's talking about the OPP inspector, Pat Morris, claims at least 7 transnational criminal gangs are operating in Canada. They have managed to compromise employees in both the public and private sectors. That's bad. That's kind of bad.
Precedented sophistication. The first reality is that sophisticated criminal organizations, Mexican cartels, South American trafficking networks, Chinese production operations, and transnational criminal organizations in general are using our country as a critical node in global supply chains. These are not traditional drug trafficking and money laundering organizations. They operate with unprecedented sophistication. This resulted in the listing of 7 criminal organizations as terrorist entities in 2025. Intelligence indicates that at least 7 major transnational criminal organizations maintain operations in our country. They have systematically embedded operatives within Canadian shipping logistics chains and export facilities. They have cultivated relationships with corrupted public and private sector employees, including port workers, warehouse supervisors, transportation and licensing officials. They understand Canadian supply chain vulnerabilities, and they exploit them methodically.
Of course. Indian truck drivers. But, yeah, we were sold out by our government because they let all this happen. They let all this happen. It's ridiculous. When you let the third world, you let millions of people from third world countries come in, you're going to get these kind of gangs coming in too. And they're loving it. They got all this new territory to conquer. But meanwhile, the security agencies in Canada are more worried about the second sons doing push-ups in a park. It's such a joke, man. It's such a joke. Such a joke. Serious Jeremy McKenzie. Good thing you guys focus on white supremacy and hate as a primary effort the last 10 years. Otherwise, how would this diverse group of engineers and doctors have been able to find the breathing room to operate and grow? Yeah. Yeah, you're worried more about some white dudes doing push-ups in a park or whatever, meeting, than all these horrible transnational gangs that shouldn't even be here in the first place. So yeah, traitors. Here's more Indian stuff in the Canadian Parliament, and this bugs me a lot. Like, instead of like looking at the concern, which is not being discussed at all, the concerns of Canadians, at all. We have Tim Appal, who his name was on that Indian film that was. This is Tim. Look at this guy. Anyway, he's the deputy leader of the Conservative Party of Canada, and he's in Parliament talking about the Indian extortion, Indian criminals in the Canadian Parliament. So that's his top priority. The deputy leader of the Conservative Party, his top priority is talking about a problem that brought in by all these Indian immigrants. And what does Bruce here say? He says, so Tim's saying, we'll see what he says first. Crime and chaos are spreading, and the lax liberal laws have Canadians living in fear. Yeah, it's not it's millions of Indians coming into Canada. And sorry, you guys did this to yourselves, man. It's performance rated, and the performance has been bad. So let's see what he says. This is the deputy leader of the Conservative Party.
Up over 550% in Surrey alone. But the Liberals have done nothing to protect Canadians. Over 6 months ago, they promised 1,000 new RCMP officers to help the situation, but none have been.
So we bring in all these millions of Indians. They bring in all their culture of crime and extortion, and we're supposed to hire 1,000 new RCMP officers to deal with their mess. That's what he's saying. That's what the Conservative deputy leader of the Conservative Party is saying.
Hired, Mr. Speaker. We brought forward legislation to crack down on extortion and keep Canadians safe. They blocked
keep
it,
Indians
Mr. Speaker.
safe.
When will the Liberals take extortion seriously and support our Conservative plan to keep these criminals behind bars and keep Canadians safe?
So this is what the conversation is in the Canadian Parliament. Not how can we help young Canadians who have see no future. How can we maybe stop girls from getting abortions like they get Big Macs, or how can we, lower housing costs so Canadians can start a family? No, none of that. Let's talk about Indian extortion and how it's hurting the Indians that brought it all here. It's ridiculous. It's such a joke. All right. Now, and then we got these other ones crying about, in Toronto, they had a protest yesterday. Indian migrants now out in the streets crying about this was yesterday, sudden cancellation of the skills trade program. I think this is an Ontario program, acting like the country owes them something and demanding fairness and protection, as if they were promised a future here in the first place. The program got bloated because it became a backdoor immigration pipeline. Imagine that. Recruiters were flooding the country with cheap foreign labor under the guise of skilled trades, driving down wages for actual citizens while taxpayers footed the training bill. We even paid for it. Ooh. Canceling it isn't just about killing a bad program. It's about slamming the door on the scam that was replacing locals with endless streams of temporary workers who were never leaving. It's a scam, yes. Let them protest all they want. They were never supposed to be here in the first place. Border closed, program dead, good riddance. So yeah, there's so many programs to get into Canada. So many different visa programs to let people into Canada, and we got to shut them all. Like shut them one by one. It's so many. I don't even want to imagine how many there are. But this was just one of them. So, you know, student visas, the temporary foreign workers. There's so many different. And they're bringing more, like the C3, the birthright citizenship, all that. There's so many different ways. But you slam one, it's like whack-a-mole. You slam one and another one pops up. Let's look at these guys. Workers protest after skilled trades program gets canceled. So they got to go back to India. They're not going back to India. They'll probably sneak into the States or something. Look at them all. Like, why would we bring all these people here? They all have need a place to live. They all need doctors. They're all taking jobs. Why? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Okay, next post here. It's everything in the Canadian political discussion is all about India. So how can we help the Indians? It's not about fixing Canada. All right. Here's another reaction to the budget. If an election was called, MPs would have to work hard to get their job back for 30 to 40 days. Did you really think that we would have a winter election when MPs get 44 full days off for the Christmas winter break from December 13th to January 25th? Yeah. Basically he's saying they don't care. All they care about is themselves. They don't care about a winter election, or all they care about is themselves. They don't care about the Canadian people. Like they say, oh, Canadians don't want a winter election. No, they don't care about that. They don't want a winter election because they want to be able to chill out and do nothing. Look at them. Does this look like people that want to help you? No. This is a uniparty. So yeah, they're going to have a nice Christmas. While Canadians struggle at food banks, buy presents for their kids, these guys are going to enjoy their Christmas. Liberals, Conservatives, NDP, Bloc, they're all going to enjoy their Christmas. All right, here's a throwback. Throwback to Don Cherry. Canada first, Canada only. Let's see what he says.
I just say what I think. And it's the way I think.
They should never cancel Don Cherry.
Bigotry if you want.
They should never have canceled him.
I'm tired of Canada kowtowing to the rest of the world. I heard a politician say, we have to be careful because the rest of the world loves us. No wonder they love us. We're weak. We're spineless wimps. And foreign aid, if you want to get into that, here we got people dying. Here we got people dying for want of beds, and we're giving money to the foreigners. No way. It'd be Canada first and Canada only.
Jeez.
That's what I am, a nationalist. I'm going to start a new power.
He was way ahead of Donald Trump.
I just say what I think, and it's the way I think. You can say it's bigotry if you want. I don't think it is. I'm pro-Canadian, more so than I'm anti-Soviet or anti-Swede.
So he was way ahead of his time, Don Cherry, and what they did to him is horrible. And you know, I don't think Pierre's ever said anything like. He won't either. But what they did to him was horrible. He didn't really do. He didn't deserve that. Like, he didn't do anything that bad. He said those people, big deal. And he did a lot of good for Canada, and they threw him out like a piece of garbage on the side of like a bag of garbage on garbage day. Boom. Okay. See Global BC. Police link shots fired in Abbotsford, BC to extortion case. So it's like just the criminal it's just like Wild West out there. It's just a total breakdown of law and order. because you've imported millions of Indians. They've destroyed British Columbia. They're trying to destroy Alberta. They're destroying Ontario. So, yeah. Let's see. I'm sick of hearing about this extortion thing because we have other priorities here, but apparently protecting Indians from getting extorted by other Indians is the top priority in Canada. And I already said, ban all immigration from India. That's the start of the fight and the extortion. Like, literally. Let's see what this... I'm trying to see this report, but... Anyway. That's all we hear about is extortion. Indian extortion. Okay. Here's this. This one's interesting. Canada you grew up with isn't changing slowly, it's being replaced. House party of 10 can handle 10 new guests, or can handle 2 new guests, but if 12 walk in, the entire vibe flips. I think the vibe is flipped. If people decide elections and you change the people overnight, you change the country. Yeah, see, people don't understand. When you get enough foreigners here and you giving out the passports like it's Halloween candy, they're going to vote, and they're going to vote you out forever. And you're going to sit there like a dummy. Because for some reason Canada is so anxious to give foreigners passports. Like, my parents were landed immigrants for like 20, 30 years. They didn't get a passport right away. They probably could have, but they didn't rush to get it. Anyway, the point is once you give the passport, they're voting. A lot of countries have foreign populations, but they're there on work permits. They're not there. They don't get to vote. But we want to give it all away. It's ridiculous. Let's see what this.
Actually running the country, not playing a pivotal role in who gets. We're very likely to lose the cultural assimilation, and now we're very likely to start losing the political foothold. If you want to win at the federal level, it seems pretty clear to me that you need the vote of all these foreign-born people that are coming in that have only been here not even a generation.
A lot of people would probably push back and say, well, they can't vote on the prime minister themselves in a federal election, but they can vote on who I get to vote for.
Right.
The analogy that I used, think of a house party. Let's say there's 10 people there. 2 new people show up. They are going to enter the vibe of what's already going on. But if you have 12 people walk into a party of 10, things can change pretty quickly.
Immigration's been a cornerstone of Canada's GDP since World War II. Fine. No problem with that. And I think immigration is important when you bring them in at an adequate rate, no faster than your infrastructure can allow, and at a rate that you can adequately assimilate. The numbers we're doing at are literally 500% that number. Oh, there's no such thing as a legal immigrant. There's no this, there's no that. Let everybody in, open borders, blah, 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 blah. Here's the problem. You lose your country. Even the culture that you think is important, your liberal or democratic culture that you have now over-associated with just because everything is politicized, you are going to be the cause of your own demise. There already is a dogfight for power over Canada, and it's not traditional Canada in the driver's seat. It's China, it's India, it's these other nations that are kind of fighting over it, and they're now swaying elections. How much longer do people think it takes until these are the people actually running the country? Not playing a pivotal role in who gets elected, but running it. I don't think it's that far away, and then the that you think you love and know is gone. Yep. Very likely to lose the...
And he makes a good point about the political, like the vote. You're giving people the vote. You're not just letting them in and they change your culture, like they did with Don Cherry, got rid of him and started tearing down Canadian institutions and history, renaming everything. And now it's political. Like they actually... You know, they're getting the political control. Nobody. It's horrible. Here's Bruce again. South Asians in Canada should not be getting extorted. They should be getting exported back instead. That's what I said too. Ban immigration from India. And like I said, these Indians are crying to the government, oh, we're getting extorted by our fellow Indians. And it's like, maybe it's something about your country then, because I don't remember extortion. Like, I'm sure there was extortion in Canada prior to all these Indian invasion, but it's obviously a lot worse if they're talking about it in Parliament as having emergency extortion debates. I've never heard of that before in Canada, having an emergency extortion debate in Canadian Parliament. So yeah, thanks a lot. Ban immigration from India. All right. Here's another thing I saw. Canadian Parliament. Suk Dhaliwal. He's talking about something Indian related in the Canadian Parliament while Canadians are suffering, struggling, dying. They're talking about something 30 years ago. Jaswant Singh Kalra came to Ottawa to expose the disappearances and killings of Sikhs in Punjab, India. Punjab, what do we care? Why do we care about this? Months later, he was abducted and killed for his courage. Today, we honor his sacrifice and renew our commitment to truth, justice, and human rights. So, he's a liberal, the Suk Dhaliwal from BC, of course. Let's see what he says here.
Case of injustice.
Member for Surrey Newton.
Mr. Speaker, 30 years ago, human rights defender Jaswant Singh Kalra stood here in Ottawa to urge parliamentarians to pay attention to the disappearances and unlawful killings of thousands of Sikhs in Punjab, India. Just months after the visit, he was abducted, tortured, and killed for his courage and conviction. Before his tragic death, he shared a powerful message, one that continues to inspire people around the world today. He reminded us that we must never stay silent in the face of injustice. As we honor Jaswant Singh Kalra's courage and sacrifice,
yeah,
let us
this is Canadian Parliament.
To truth, justice, and human rights, the values that form the foundation.
Anyway, this is Canada. We don't care about your Indian squabbles. It's so annoying. It's so annoying. Like, seriously, why does Canadian Parliament look like Indian Parliament? It's ridiculous. All right. Here's Mocha Bezergan. I like this kid. He's funny. Before my quote, only a few thousand people knew that Polyev and his guiding star by Tim Singh Apal fought against deportations. Now over 200,000 people know. So yeah, Pierre's acting like, oh, we gotta fix the liberals' immigration. They wanted the same thing. They were saying, we don't want to deport you. We want you to stay and build a life here in Canada. Here's Tim Apal in 2023. We stand with international students wrongly facing deportation by the Liberal government. The government accepted fake admission letters from shady immigration consultants, and now years later is punishing the students by deporting them. And first of all, they're students. The idea was they come, they study, they leave. But all these Indian students, all they had, their whole plan was to stay here. There's no intention of going back. And this is the Conservatives. There's Pierre. There's Pierre there. This is not long ago. This is like 2 years ago. That's Tim Apal. We're more worried about the Indian constituents, the Indian voter, than they are about the Canadian voter. This is the Conservative Party. Like, we already know the Liberals hate us. But the Conservatives act like they don't hate us, but they really do too. Traitors. Yeah, Pierre is full of it though. Like, he was saying this. He was saying the exact same thing. He panders to these guys big time. All right, here's Greg Wycliffe. Some on reaction to the budget. If you believe in the strategy bro argument that the CPC needed to help pass the budget to not dissolve Parliament because they knew they'd lose an election, don't you find it unsettling that they put so much effort into propaganda like this just to let it pass anyway? Yeah, every MP was doing videos like this.
Remember, this is the Liberal government that has been telling us it is a new...
No, it's 5 minutes.
This is the federal budget.
I'm not watching this.
Remember the federal budget, the one we were asking the Liberals to table in the spring because it's been so long since Canada had one? Well, we finally have it. We have a pretty good sense now of what the government's prioritizing. And remember, this is the Liberal government that has been telling us it is a new government.
I'm not going to play this video, but this is the typical CPC strategy. They do little cute videos like this to make it look like they're outraged and they're doing stuffing. But really, they don't do anything. He's acting all outraged about this budget when they already knew they weren't going to vote against it and they weren't going to try and defeat it. So it's just performance. It's horrible. And every CPC guy did this. They acted like this is the worst, and it is a horrible budget, but they act like, oh my God, if we don't stop this budget, it's going to be a disaster. But they had no intention of stopping it. So it's just so disingenuous. And people aren't stupid. They see through this. They think we're stupid. Yes. But the strategy bro argument. Trust me, bro, the 5th time will be different. We lost 4 times, but the 5th time will be different. Okay. This is hilarious now. This is Harrison Faulkner. This is hilarious now that we know Scheer was prepared to abstain from the budget vote to guarantee that it passed. There's another a performative video by a conservative ahead of the budget when they knew the budget was going to... None of the parties were going to kill this budget except for the BQ. They were pretty consistent. So they put all this performance art for, just to make us think that they actually care about our concerns. I remember this video.
With any of the inflation caused by Liberal deficits. In fact, I finally found it. It took a while, but it's in there. This week was budget week, and millions of Canadians suffering under the cost of living crisis. Those people who are lined up at food banks because they can't afford the price of food were desperately hoping that there would be something in Mark Carney's first budget to bring down prices. And at first, it didn't look good. But I found it. It's on page 220. There is something in there for you to bring prices down if you're in the market for a private jet or luxury yacht. I'm not kidding. There's literally nothing here to bring down groceries, to bring down the cost of housing, to deal with any of the inflation caused by Liberal deficits. In fact, this whole budget is full of billions and billions in new spending that you'll have to pay for.
Why did you help?
Including all that new debt charges.
Why'd you help it pass?
Carney's massive deficits. But on page 220, here it is. To provide relief, Budget 2025 announces the government's intention to end the luxury tax on aircraft and vessels. I want to know how this happened. How does Mark Carney look at the landscape in Canada, see all those people lining up at food banks, the young people moving back into their parents' basement because they can't afford housing, and arrive at this? When I talk to my friends and neighbors, they're looking for ways to bring down their grocery bills. They're literally cutting out beef and all the extras just to make ends meet. When Mark Carney goes around the room at the country club and says, "What are you guys feeling the pinch on?" Carney, old bean, if you want to really help lower the cost of things, how about that luxury tax on private jets and yachts? The last time I bought a Gulfstream, I had to pay millions. We were all elbows up for you, so it's time you did something for us.
Okay.
What's crazy about that is that when someone pitched that idea, Carney said, he's right, and now it's in the budget. Not a single measure to bring down home prices, not a single measure to bring down grocery prices, not a single measure to fight inflation. Nothing to take off the taxes on grocery farming and production. Instead, a tax break on private jets and yachts. That's Mark Carney's idea of making life more affordable. Another crazy thing, they left the luxury tax there on vehicles. There are lots of vehicles that cost over $100,000 that farmers...
Okay, you get the message. They did all these videos, horrible, lambasting the budget, saying how horrible it was, but they knew all along that they weren't going to let it get defeated. So it's like... it's just so disingenuous. All right. Here's more pandering Pierre. This is kind of funny. He was doing an event, it looks like the other day, and he got this picture. And the funny thing is, where's Pierre? That was the because he's lost there in a sea of Indians. Look at him. Where is he there? There he is. And it's like, apparently, why is X the only platform where he didn't post the fourth image on? Because pandering Pierre is scared of the backlash and the accountability that comes with it. He knows that reaction would be brutal, so he'd hid it from the one app that would call him out immediately. So, okay. Yeah, so he was at his event 3 days ago. Where was this? Calgary. This is Calgary. And they say they want to be independent in Calgary or Alberta. It's practically India. There's Pierre. There's Pierre talking to the crowd. But there's no Pierre with the picture. There's no picture. There's the picture that he didn't want to post. He doesn't want to post with all the Indians to his conservative base. Can't play both sides forever, Pierre. Okay. What a phony. And the Liberals do it too. It's like this pandering to the Indians, especially the Indian community. It's ridiculous. It's okay. Ban immigration from India. That's what I say. I was reading this book too today on the Great Depression by Pierre Burton, and I saw this chart he had in there about the monthly rent. I just thought that was interesting in general. Apparently, a monthly 3-bedroom apartment in 1933 was $40. 1990 was $1,300, and now in 2025, and this is in Toronto, it's $3,500. So it went from $1,300 in 1990 to $3,500. Holy shit! And I know the wages haven't kept up with that. That's horrible. But yeah, let's talk about the Indian extortion, or some dude who got killed 30 years ago, some Indian dude. Okay. Here's another budget. I guess the funniest thing during the whole vote appears that Andrew Scheer and Reid were waited outside the house during the vote just in case they had to abstain to ensure the vote passed. Then when it was clear that, okay, they weren't actually, I heard they were hiding behind the curtains. Because you can't, once they lock the doors once the vote starts. So they were hiding behind the curtains, and then they ran out to vote no. They were going to abstain in case NDP double-crossed them or something. I don't know. Such a joke. Such a joke. It's such a uniparty. Like, all they care about is their own their position. Look at him. He looks like he's drunk. Very disheveled. But these MPs, they just care about keeping their perks. They don't care about solving the problems. Okay. Here's the cow stand. I hate these guys, man. They have zero desire to assimilate into Canada. And if anything, they'll take a province of Canada and make a new Calistan, probably Saskatchewan. They could take over Saskatchewan, no problem. It's pretty empty. Like, I don't want them to, but I could see them trying. So here's Kirk Lubomov. Calistanis openly threatening a Canadian MP. CPC Conservative member Shuv Majumdar just because he called out their parade of Indian and Canadian politician assassination celebration. So yeah, these Calistanis like literally threaten the Indian politicians, threaten to kill them. Terrorists in front of police too. They do this. Calistanis have Pierre Poilievre by the balls and using him as a cover. They have such confidence and control in the Conservative Party that a foreign group tells Canadians who they will elect in Canada. Pierre doesn't have the guts to call this out or eradicate them from the Conservative Party. Do Conservatives understand yet how rotten the CPC is yet? A lot of conservative people are criticizing Pierre on this. So here's Gurpatwant Singh Panun. Next election will remove every Indo-Canadian MP who's following Modi's violent Hindu Tuva ideology and peddling India's interest. Majumdar should seek his next re-election in Modi's India, not Poilievre's Canada. So yeah, again, Canadian politics, it's more Indian politics than Canadian politics. Extortion, Indian murders, and now Khalistan bullshit. And they all hate, they don't even like each other. The Khalistanis hate the Hindus, and the Hindus, why do it in India? Go over in India and figure it out. We don't want it. Okay. Next. Look at these guys. Larry Brock, another MP who made all these videos denouncing the budget, yet he's still, I think he voted no, he didn't abstain. But great breakfast with our leader yesterday. We discussed restoring safer streets for Canadians with Jail Not Bail Act and the Liberals' costly budget, putting Canada first. Look at these guys. Do these guys look like they're going to save you or help you? No. Not at all. Not at all. Okay. Here's Carney after he got the budget through. Tonight, the House of Commons voted to pass Budget 2025. It's time to work together to deliver on this plan, to protect our communities, empower Canadians with new opportunities, and build Canada strong. And I was like, no, I have a bad feeling the next 2 years in Canada are going to be bad. All right. Okay. Okay. This is a cool quote. It's showing how the attitudes on immigration changed within like 60 years or 70 years. You have first Prime Minister Mackenzie King. Immigration is a privilege, not a right. Canadians don't want to change the fabric of their society. And we went from that to Canada is a post-national state with no real identity. That's Trudeau. So yeah, quite the change in Canada's immigration. If we don't change course, the Canadian people will no longer exist in 15 to 20 years. Remigration is how we save Canada. Yeah, we got to do it. If we don't do it now, it's going to be too late. Okay. But of course, the one program that's all white people in Canada is assisted suicide. Lack of adequate health care pushing Canadians towards assisted suicide. And it's like, that's the program for the white Canadians. We're not going to worry about your problems. We're just going to send you to assisted suicide. Like 98% of it's white Canadians getting suicided. All right. Here's Pierre Poilievre. He looks like he was at some kind of event. So let's see what he says. Pierre Poilievre compares Khalistan to Quebec's. This is crazy. He compares Khalistan to Quebec separatism, but there's a deadly difference. Khalistani extremists bombed Air India Flight 182 in 1985, killing 329, and continue to threaten Canadian leaders like Anita Anand, including a video of two-term individuals shooting at her image. Unlike Quebec separatism, Khalistan activism has a history of terrorism on Canadian soil. Ignoring this is whitewashing extremism. Listen what he says here.
Just have the freedom to express themselves. We even let them have seats. So, personally, I believe in a united India, like I believe in a united Canada.
So,
but I believe people also.
Why is the opposition leader of Canada talking about a united India? Like, literally, all our political discourse is about India. It's ridiculous.
Have the freedom to disagree. So if you believe in Khalistani cause, you have the freedom to express yourself, just like Quebec separatists.
He's obviously compromised by these Khalistani guys. Why would he say something like this?
Have the freedom to express themselves in Canada. We even let them have seats in the House of Commons. So that's how I believe in freedom. I want Canada to be.
Yeah, you didn't believe during COVID.
Express any opinion, even opinions I don't agree with, and that those opinions have to be expressed peacefully, but they can be freely expressed. So that's the approach I will take. Freedom for everyone.
So yeah, he's instead of saying, yeah, we need to deport all these Khalistani, he's saying they're just like Quebec separatists. They deserve freedom. It's ridiculous, man. Such a joke. Pierre's such a joke. Okay, here's that stat with it. In Canada, 95.8% of medical assistance in dying recipients who responded to identified as white. So 95.8%. And they said they really do want to kill Whitey. And it's funny, I thought, oh, I might get sorry. I thought I might get a warning by X because kill Whitey might be construed as hateful. But apparently it's not, because you could say that. If you said kill anybody else, you'd get your account suspended for a week. All right. So here's the same video. Pierre Poilievre just compared Khalistani extremists to Quebec separatists while answering a question about unity in India. Are people getting it yet? Yeah. It's crazy. Why is the opposition leader talking about unity in India and Khalistani terrorists, how they have the right to express themselves on Canadian soil? It's a joke. This video should get played on a loop. It's a joke.
That those opinions have to be expressed. So, personally, I believe in a united India, like I believe in a united Canada. But I believe people also...
Like I believe in a united Canada.
Disagree. So if you believe in the Khalistani cause, you have the freedom to express yourself, just like Quebec separatists.
You know what the right answer would have been? He's like, Khalistanis have no... It's obvious they have no desire to assimilate into Canada, so they need to go. That's the proper... Instead, he's saying they have the right to their peaceful expression or whatever. Such a joke. Pierre's a joke. Because, Carney, I expect him to be a globalist traitor. All right? And he even says, I'm a globalist. He even says he loves immigrants. He says he's happy that Toronto's half foreigners and growing. He's happy about it. So, at least he's honest. Pierre is the duplicitous one here, and that's even worse than the globalist traders, because at least the globalist traders, they say, hey, we're globalist traders. Pierre is trying to act like he's working for us, and he's not. He's got compromise he's got some compromise, he's compromised a bit from these Khalistanis, because look at how he talks. He's afraid of them. Anyway. It's horrible. Horrible, horrible. So, that's it for today. I can't. It's horrible. Very horrible. So, we'll see how Pierre does. If he gets the knives come out for Pierre. See how Carney does. How his popularity goes. How the NDP does. We'll see what's going to happen. It's not looking good, though. Not looking good. So the next broadcast will be November 21, November 21st, Friday, November 21st. I'm sure we'll have lots to talk about until then. So until then, have a nice night.